test. Slated. Slated Black Widow. Camera test.
Do you see yourself, because the Marvel Cinematic Universe will expand, there's no question about that, your character is set up, would you see yourself following her and doing breakoffs, doing other sequels?
I would love to, you know, I would love to take this character in every different direction. I think she certainly encounters her fair share of the Marvel Universe, and it's nice to be able to play a female, you know, superheroine who has a past, and I think has a real foundation for all different kinds of spin-offs or interactions with other characters.
The length is okay. I think it's we may have to scale down a little bit. We may have to scale just by length, so we may have to extras.
The part that appealed to me most about her is her dedication and just her intelligence. I think you need smart people in a movie like this. There's too much up for grabs. There's too many things that change, and you need somebody who's going to be a steward of their character.
I've never been able to return to a character before, so in a way, putting on the suit is like, the old familiar friend.
It's really so audience-driven, exactly what people want to see, what characters they respond to.
I really can't think of any other opportunity to grow with the character as I have.
There is a 2-year period between Civil War and Infinity War. I think there's kind of a lot to explore there.
There were many different dramatic directions that we could go, but her past has to come back to haunt her.
What's very exciting about this genre is that it's really fan-driven. It's almost like you're playing Choose Your Own Adventure or something like that, and the fans are kind of navigating through this universe and sort of demanding of the studio what they want to see.
Black Widow shooting right now in London. They flew overnight and got here this morning.
Scarlett, you've played Natasha through 7 films over the last 10 years. What are you excited for fans to discover about Natasha this go-around?
As a film fan, I look at how do you take these iconic characters and humanize them even more? And Scarlett has humanized Natasha through the course of 10 years worth of movies for us. But in this one, it really goes further by introducing this family unit. And I think about Indiana Jones and his great entrance in Raiders of the Lost Ark. And Indy was this enigmatic figure. And then in Last Crusade, you meet his dad. And you see his dad treating him just like a dad treats any kid. And you're like, that's Indiana Jones. You can't talk to him that way. Likewise, the way that Natasha feels and suddenly becomes this little kid again, I think is very fun and very relatable and very unique to what we've seen the circumstances of Widow in before.
Scarlett really wanted to make the most of it. Good. And she assured me that she would work as hard as she needed to do her stunts and learn all of that stuff, and she spent hours and hours and hours for months, by far the most dedicated actor when it came to the stunt work and the physical work.
Giving away the secrets here.
The fight choreography, we combined a lot of different fighting styles, and she was game for learning it all. The biggest one was Lucha Libre, which seemed silly to me when they had first mentioned it. But when you see the acrobatic moves and the swinging around and the flips and the turns and the holds, when you see a woman doing it in the Black Widow costume, it has a much different effect. There's a freshness to it, and it really felt right when you saw it choreographed properly. So you really believe that as she's moving through this hallway full of these guards, that she's able to do her flips and turns and grabs. It was pretty inspired.
Really tough.
10 years. Really kicking ass.
Training in general, I mean, I feel like these 10 years I've just been kind of working up to this point. I felt really capable, which is great.
When I first got the role, I remember I went to go and meet Kevin Feige, and I was a little bit anxious about how much you have to do. Like, I don't know what's involved in these films, and I also know that every single time I've seen one, there are these essential, like, athlete actors just running through the screen all the time. And I didn't know if that was required or enforced or whatever. And so I asked him, I was like, what's the deal? Like, do you guys make me into what I need to be, or is that kind of, and he goes, no, it's totally up to you. And so with that, I kind of felt nicely relaxed, because my favorite thing is getting in there and doing stunts. From the moment I could, I just went to the warehouse, and all these amazing stunties were just there to teach you any one of their crafts.
Ready?
Yep. I found that fascinating. And yeah, I tried to do as much as I could.
James, the stunt coordinator, makes it a lot of fun. He would always just say, you know, just have fun, have fun. You're about to do something incredibly violent and vicious, but he'd just say, have fun. The stunt person is like a dance partner. They just make you look good.
This was the hardest thing I've ever done, and I am not at all like a Tom Cruise about this stuff where I'm like, I do all my own stunts. I do not do any of my own stunts, and I do not want to. Put the guy in. He does it better than me. Please, I will go sit and hang out and have a croissant.
Try. That's cool.
It's more like an story, and then she'll go through it. So we get the emotion back into it.
I want it to be really truthful, and I want each fight to have a story. So for me, it was like we would choreograph fights, but we would also be choreographing dramatic moments between the characters of trust or revenge or different feelings that they might have.
I think we were all looking for those moments. And that's something that Kate did as a director, where she really galvanized all of us to bring our best, our A game, and to really look for the heart of the movie as opposed to looking for what's cool. She really always would steer us back to what's the heart of the movie? What are we looking for here? What are we looking for? And that, you know, that's real artistry.
So far, it's just...
For me, that opening fight sequence was scary. It was our first weekend to shoot, and I hadn't really hung out with Scarlett that much before. That whole fight is about not knowing how to say what you feel. It's so aggressive. It's so face-to-face, and I think what you were just saying, we haven't seen that before. It's true. You're on land, and you have these two women kind of doing a bit of Jason Bourne-style fighting. They are just kind of trying to kill each other. And that was so exhilarating as an actor to come to that, and then they let you actually do it. Amazing.
There's a lot of fights. It's a Marvel movie. But the next one we come to will be the bridge fight, which will be the first time we see Taskmaster come against Natasha, and it's the first time, really, I think, we'll see Natasha on the back foot.
Kevin always said to me, we know she's going to survive it, but we have to think at times how. And so we knew we had to put her in some situations where you questioned, were things going to be okay?
Taskmaster is an interesting one because we've done a little bit to make the character different than the comics for our cinematic experience.
Say hello.
Who says Taskmaster has to be a man? We had been talking about this reference that Loki makes in Avengers about the horrible things Natasha's done in her past.
Can you wipe out that much red? Dreykov's daughter?
It was very important to Kevin that we shed a little bit of light on that mystery.
It's incredibly redemptive for Natasha because, in a way, she can save this person that she thought she'd murdered. What the film speaks about a lot is lack of control, that these young women didn't have control over their lives or their bodies, and Taskmaster is like the living embodiment of that, someone who's completely programmed and has no say in any of her actions.
The Taskmaster was one of the first costumes I worked on. We were quite obsessed by making it in a way that it was light, that she could jump, that she could roll, that she could do all the acrobacy needed to do. So we made the armor as light as we could, the helmet as light as we could. We printed the fabric with a very specific little design. The blue is a gorgeous blue. That was a Marvel design. And then also the interpretation and the realization is from us.
All of the weapons are concealed on Taskmaster all the time. So they can appear and we can decide to lose them. So the idea of having the shield, you know, where does it go? Does it go on his back, the same as Captain America? It's not going to work. So they wanted to do it so that you could have it appear from his arms. It's trying not to tie the action down. The whole thing about these movies is to try and work out what the action requires. Once we started working with the fight coordinates, we actually work out that the shield had to be left or right hand, the same with the sword. I also, the beauty of it is not having a handle involved, in that we can assume that this is held together by a magnet or some sort of shoe on the armour.
What was great was Marvel said to me, we'll tell you when to stop. You just have to keep having ideas and don't suppress them. Just keep having ideas. And so I don't think they ever really did tell us to stop.
Kate Shortland is such a gift as a filmmaker. The emotional layer that we added to it was necessary. It was imperative that we told you that layer from Black Widow. Otherwise, it would have been another action film. And you know, we've made action films before, but the emotional resonance had to be something that got us through the next 2 hours, because we waited 10 years for these 2 hours, so it better be worth it. Kate Shortland is a visionary filmmaker that takes her time in the detail of the nuances of that particular moment. And sometimes it's just with a look or with a hand or with a camera just tilting, and you feel it and your heart just goes there and you're like, oh, I get it. And that's a true talent and an all-around phenomenal woman.